Welcome back, Brawlers and Baku crew members. BakuBrad96 here with something that I haven't done in a while. I actually have a G2 deck profile for everyone today. It is somewhat of a Darkus Pyrus Fury build, in hopes of one of Fusion's new tournament, I guess, I don't know what you would call it, formats, I suppose. But yeah, the idea is to use Bakugan from the first 3 years of the reboot, those being Battle Planet, Armored Alliance, and Geogun Rising. There are a few other limitations, but for the most part, that is why I chose the team that I did. Not only that, I actually have a 3 of EVO in this deck that I'm very happy to finally be able to use. I hope the deck utilizes it correctly. I just like it, right? I think it's a fun, casual build, but not necessarily that competitive by any means. So you already see the team, right? I'll go ahead and get right into that. I am using the Fangzor and Mantonoid Pyrus Fusion. This one has a core line of a magic shield and a regular shield. B power of 600 with 2 damage. It does take 6 energy to fuse, right? Those original Fusion Bakugan were definitely a pain. 6 energy cost is a lot to deal with. But I feel like there's a decent payoff because once you fuse them, you have a B power of 1300 and 8 damage. I think that's pretty good. I doubt I'll ever actually get to the point where I can fuse Fangzor and Mantonoid, but base stat-wise, it's not awful. I wish the damage was a little more, but more so I think this is actually going to end up being a placeholder, because if I do end up getting an Aurelus Turtonium, which I might be, I will be using its EVO card as well, and that one is a little better. Next up, I am using another Bakugan that I got from a trade. This is Pyrus Pincitaur. It has a double flame fist line, B power of 400 with 6 damage, so pretty good base damage, built-in reroll, and then if you do land on a flaming fist, you get plus 300 more B power and plus 3 more damage. Ends up comboing out to be very good. At least in this kind of format setting, I feel like it. So yeah, definitely wanted to run him, and I finally found a way to. So kind of definitely a damage Bakugan. And then last but not least, my favorite, obviously it is the Turtle Boy, which does have a Magic Shield, Green Fist, and a B power of 500, 3 damage. So pretty decent. Bringing the Magic Shield definitely helps, as well as the Green Fist. Now then, moving on to the core line. Pretty basic. I run 2 Magic Shields plus 650 B power. You want to get the most B power you can, especially on these older Bakugan that aren't as strong. And then for the Flame or the Fire Fist slots, plus 250 B power and plus 3 damage. Yes, I could have opted to give my Bakugan way more damage, but I felt that the B power was more necessary, again because their B power is so low. And then for the last 2 Bakucore, Darkus and Pyrus get plus 3 damage and then plus 100 B power to all. And the shield I run is a Pyrus and Darkus get plus 400, so at least limiting those cores to my team or opponents that use the specific factions like I do. Now then, just a quick little look at the figures. Of course, we do have Pyrus Pincitaur here with the little manual fold-out feet. Well, if I can get them open. Haven't opened this Pincitaur in like ever. There we go. Pyrus Pincitaur. Use one of the Bakucore to keep it up. There we go. And the Fusion Fangzor and Mantonoid, which is really awesome. I love the design of this Bakugan. I think it's really detailed for what it is, if I can get it to zoom in. There we go. I think it's very detailed for what it is and very nice. Very, very nice Bakugan. And we have an ad going on. I'll go ahead and cut that off for a minute. Yeah, very, very nice Bakugan. One of my favorites. Again, we'll go ahead and lay it out on a Bakucore. But yeah, Turtonium. The best Bakugan. Just look at those eyes. One of the coolest Battle Planet Bakugan, honestly, in design. And yeah, definitely had to grab that EVO, and I definitely had to build a deck. And look at that, it even double cores easily. Very strong Bakugan. And that's why I wanted to build a deck around it, because it double cores, it's awesome looking, great design. Now then, moving on to the deck list, right? So the good part, kind of move everything and situate it a little better. Starting the deck off, I do run the base 3 Quickfire. Again, especially for someone like me who doesn't roll that well, you want to have a way to reroll. So for 0 energy, you get to make a Pyrus attack for 1 damage, and then you may re-roll your Bakugan. Very powerful card. I think that effect is really going to be important. So yeah, definitely run 3 of those. After that, I have 2 copies of Baku Spring, 1 energy cost for Shadow Strike, and you get to draw 1 card. Your deck is your life, so you don't want to draw too many cards, but having a card that does cycle itself out so you don't lose any card advantage. Interesting enough, right? Baku Spring replaces itself, and your Bakugan gets Shadow Strike, which means it can't have its B power and damage lowered. I feel like that's really powerful, at least enough to run 2 copies of. Following that, I do have 2 copies of Darkus Slicer. So this was a really hard choice to include, but for 1 energy, 200 B power might come up, and then if by chance my Bakugan are holding a green fist, plus 3 damage just helps with the overall damage theme of the deck itself. Then afterwards, 2 copies of Air Zero. Obviously it is an auto-occlude because this is going to let you play any of your cards for free, assuming they're not a flip card, and then you just reveal the top of your deck to do so. Really powerful. I don't have too many hits in this deck to actually use it on, but the ones that I do are important enough that I think 2 copies, pretty good. 1 copy of Anger. Not a good card. It's just in here for filler, and it does have Fury, so I can potentially trigger it. 2 energy for plus 300 B power, but then Fury, if you have no cards in your hand, you get to draw 2. So it's just a way to restock your hand after losing it, which the Turtonium EVO kind of rips your hand. So that's why I have it just the 1 copy. Following that, I have 2 copies of Curse of Darkus, just a little interaction with the opponent. So 2 energy for minus 2 damage, but you can discard a card in your hand for minus 10 damage instead. So very powerful, just a way to lower your opponent's damage, which does come up. 2 copies of Hot Potato, again defensive cards to interact with your opponent. 2 energy, and you remove an enemy Bakugan's Bakucore and negate its effect. You place it back onto the field. And then now onto the Fury Engine. 2 copies of Jenkins. This is the pseudo win condition of the deck. You want to see this card as soon as possible. It is a hero, and then for 2 energy Fury, at the end of the turn, if you have no cards in your hand, you make a Pyrus Bakugan attack for 2 damage. So very slow, but that combined with your normal turn, assuming you're winning, and then the team attacks adds up very quickly. And then to help with that, I do have the 2 copies of Might of Syndius, 2 energy for plus 1 damage, and then this turn, the victor is decided by damage rather than B power. So this is the only card in the deck I think I would change to a 3 of. Just because of how powerful it is and how important it is for these 3 Bakugan. Again, their B power is not that strong. And then I have another placeholder for the Aurelus Turtonium EVO. I would take out the Anger and Might of Night for it, but for right now, Might of Night, 2 energy for plus Shadow Strike. Again, that is a pretty strong ability. And then Sacrifice, you can discard a card for a plus 5. You're losing your hand anyway with the Turtonium EVO, so might as well trigger your Fury quicker. And I just have a few ways to do that. Dark Fortune, this is going to search out your Turtonium EVO if you don't draw into it. 3 energy to search your deck for an EVO card, you reveal it, and then you put it into your hand. You shuffle your deck afterwards, so again, really strong. Dust to Dust, this was kind of an iffy choice for me. 3 energy for 300 B power, so it kind of just evens out. But then Sacrifice, you can discard a card to draw 2. Just like the Baku Spring, this is a card that replaces itself. It takes 2 cards, but then you're going to gain the 2 cards back. That could be important, it just really depends on how the game state is going. 2 more Fury targets, I decided on Pyrus Heat Shield. 3 energy for plus 400 B power, and then Fury, if you have no cards in your hand, plus 8 damage. This on top of a Titan Turtonium Ultra, very powerful. Then the next slot is dedicated to just some more reroll. 3 energy for plus 300 B power, plus 4 damage, and then you may reroll your Bakugan. This could come up if I land on a wrong Baku core, which is easy to do. 2 copies of Song of Fire, 3 energy for plus 5 energy. It's just a ramp card, right? You can play some of your turn 4, turn 5 cards on turn 3, or you can save it for after the brawl and kind of combo off with multiple 2 cost and 1 cost cards. However you see fit, I felt like it was good enough to include. Following that is the 1 good old copy of Dan Kuzo, 4 energy, and then when you open a Bakugan, you reveal the top card of your deck. If it is not a flip card, you may play it for free. That one is pretty powerful. Really good hero. I would run it at 2, but it is 4 energy cost, and yes, you could hit it off of Air 0, and that's good, but you don't want to draw into multiple. I already have the Turtonium EVO. That could be a brick draw as well. Speaking of which, 3 of the amazing EVO itself, 4 energy for a B power of 1000 and 15 damage. The only downside is that when you play it, you do have to discard your hand. That is a pain. Arguably, that is a reason not to play this Bakugan. But when paired with Fury, I feel like it is good enough. Now then, going into the flips, right? The defensive part of the deck. Aside of Curse of Darkus and Hot Potato, I suppose. I have a copy of Ash Cloud. So 0 energy, and it just stops a Bakugan holding a shield. After that, it is Darkest Snare, 0 energy, and this stops a Bakugan holding a magic shield. Constrictor, 1 energy to stop a green or Helix holder. And then Sonic Shield, does the same for 1 energy, but a green or red fist holder. Black Hole, I wasn't really sure about this card. So for 3 energy, you end the turn, nothing else can happen this turn, you start the next card, or you start the next turn, and then cards cannot be played, remaining damage vanishes, and energy cards do not recharge. This is a good way to stop a powerful team attack, so I figured I wanted to include at least 1. And then we have the flips that trigger off of our Fury. If we have no cards in hand, you can play it for free. Otherwise, 4 energy to block a non-Pyrus attack. I did go with 2 of those. Obviously, you'd want Pack of Darkness, but I don't have that card, sadly. And I know proxying is cool, it's awesome, but I generally just don't proxy cards. But yeah, that's it for the deck profile. That's kind of what my idea was for it. Let me know in the description down below any edits or changes you might make. Love to hear them. But until next time, Brawlers, stay safe, drome up, Bakugan Brawl, and hold on, wait for it, throw the bread.